If you're watching this right now, you're about to unlock a revelation that will make every synchronicity, manifestation, and inexplicable event you've experienced in your life suddenly make perfect sense. What I'm about to share with you is not just new information, it's the recognition of a pattern that's been orchestrating every experience you've ever had, shaping every outcome and event in your life, even when you were unaware of it. It's a hidden mechanism, running behind the scenes, and once you recognize it consciously, everything in your life changes. This recognition is not just about understanding a new concept, it's about realizing something fundamental that's always been present. It's a shift from living unconsciously, where things happen randomly, to becoming an intentional creator, where you can begin to use this pattern to shape your reality on purpose. This is the moment when everything transforms, because once you understand this mechanism, you gain control over it. The quantum pattern I'm about to reveal doesn't require advanced knowledge of physics or quantum mechanics. It's elegantly simple, so simple in fact that your mind might dismiss it as too basic to have real power. Yet, quantum mechanics has proven time and time again that the simplest of patterns can lead to the most profound effect. Think about the way an electron changes its energy state, releasing a photon that triggers a cascading effect, influencing millions of atoms. Or how a single quantum bit flipping can reorganize an entire system. The quantum pattern that operates in your life works in exactly the same way, a small, almost imperceptible shift that has the potential to catalyze massive transformation across every level of your reality. What makes this recognition revolutionary is the fact that you have been experiencing this pattern all along. You've been unconsciously participating in it for years, but without understanding its underlying structure, you've been experiencing random results. Sometimes things manifest perfectly, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you feel aligned with the universe, and other times everything feels disconnected. The synchronicities appear when you're in the right state, but when you're not, they vanish. This isn't because the pattern itself is inconsistent. The pattern is entirely reliable. The inconsistency comes from the fact that you've been engaging with this pattern unconsciously, sometimes getting it right, sometimes getting it wrong, without recognizing the key differences between those moments. What's happening now is not an accident. Your consciousness has reached a frequency where you are now ready to consciously recognize the quantum pattern. Before, these concepts might have seemed abstract or unrelatable, but now they resonate deeply with you. You're at a point where these words are more than just ideas, they're triggering a direct recognition within you, a deeper understanding of something that you've been experiencing all along, but couldn't fully articulate. And once you consciously recognize this pattern, you will no longer be subject to its randomness. You'll become a creator of your reality, intentionally using the pattern to manifest the outcomes you desire. You may have noticed that when things flow perfectly in your life, there seems to be a specific, almost recognizable way that things unfold. Synchronicities appear, manifestations happen effortlessly, and everything seems to fall into place. On the other hand, when things don't flow, there's also a discernible pattern resistance, delays and obstacles arise in a predictable manner. These patterns are not coincidental. They are signs that the quantum pattern is in operation, but you haven't yet recognized how to engage it consciously. Dr. Nassim Haramein's unified field theory suggests that the universe operates through patterns that are fundamental to its structure. He claims that a specific geometric and mathematical pattern appears at every level of reality, from quantum particles to galactic formations. Atoms, cells, solar systems, and even consciousness itself all follow this same pattern. When you understand this pattern consciously, you can align yourself with it, instead of stumbling upon alignment by accident. As you start recognizing this pattern, you may also notice that you begin to experience more and more moments where you can identify what creates success in your life and what creates struggle. You may begin to understand that certain internal states, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs consistently produce favorable outcomes, while others bring obstacles. The key is realizing that your awareness and engagement with reality at a quantum level directly influence the physical level, and this is not just abstract theory, it's physics in action. At the quantum level, where consciousness meets matter, this pattern is operating every moment, shaping the world around you. The quantum pattern consists of three phases, three components that must be engaged in a specific sequence. When you engage all three correctly, reality responds with flow, synchronicity, manifestation, and alignment. When you engage them incorrectly, skip steps, or contradict one component with another, you create resistance, obstacles, and delays. The pattern is utterly consistent, same input equals same output. The inconsistencies in your results come from inconsistent input, engaging the pattern correctly some of the time and incorrectly at other times without recognizing what you're doing differently. Once you recognize this pattern consciously, everything changes. It's like learning how to drive a car. At first, you were simply pushing pedals and turning the wheel randomly, hoping the car would go where you wanted. Once you learned how the accelerator, brake, and steering wheel work together in a specific pattern, you no longer have to think about it. You engage the system consciously every time you drive, and as a result, your journey becomes more predictable and reliable. The same applies to the quantum pattern. Once you consciously engage it, reality becomes consistently responsive, rather than randomly favorable or unfavorable. The reason that this recognition feels so powerful is because you are now becoming conscious of something you've been unknowingly participating in all along. You're not learning something new. You're waking up to something you've been doing instinctively. And once you recognize it, everything changes. What once happened by chance is now something you can do intentionally. Let's dive deeper into the phenomena that you may have experienced but haven't fully understood until now. There are moments in your life when everything flows perfectly, when things happen with effortless synchronicity, when manifestations occur through unlikely yet perfectly orchestrated channels, and when obstacles dissolve before they even become problems. You may have felt that during these times you weren't trying too hard. Everything just worked. These are the moments when you are unconsciously engaging all three components of the quantum pattern correctly. Once you recognize this, you'll be able to consciously create these states, ensuring that your life is filled with this flow, synchronicity, and effortless manifestation. These states aren't just lucky accidents. They are a direct result of your consciousness engaging with the quantum field in harmony with the pattern. It's like tuning a radio to the right frequency. It's not about luck. It's a precise process that consistently produces a clear signal when done correctly. Similarly, when you engage the quantum pattern consciously, you create the desired outcomes in your life consistently. But what happens when things don't go as planned? Have you ever experienced recurring cycles in your life-specific situations that seem to repeat over and over again, despite your conscious desire for change? You might have tried everything to break these cycles, but nothing seems to work. This is because unconsciously you've been engaging the quantum pattern in such a way that it creates these repeating outcomes. Your consciousness, in its current state, is inputting the same information into the quantum field, creating the same outcomes time and time again. Recognizing the quantum pattern allows you to change that input and break free from these cycles almost immediately. Another phenomenon you may have noticed is the stark contrast between the things that manifest effortlessly versus the things you desperately work towards, only for them to never materialize. Some desires flow into your life with little effort, while others seem to remain just out of reach, no matter how hard you try. This difference isn't random, it's the result of how you engage the quantum pattern. When your intentions align with all three components of the pattern, manifestation is effortless. But when you engage with only one or two components, or contradict one part of the pattern, you create interference that cancels out the manifestation. Once you recognize the components and how they interact, you can intentionally align all three, ensuring that your desires manifest effortlessly. Another intriguing phenomenon is when you know things before they happen. You may have experienced moments where you knew exactly what someone was going to say, or you predicted a future event with uncanny accuracy. This is not psychic ability, it's your consciousness accessing the quantum field, where the pattern of manifestation is already established. When you're aligned with the quantum pattern, you can perceive the template before physical reality unfolds. This is not about seeing the future in a mystical sense. It's about recognizing the present pattern in the quantum field that will eventually manifest in physical form. Lastly, have you ever experienced people responding to your internal state without you saying or doing anything? It's as if your energy alone shifts circumstances, drawing people and opportunities toward you. This is another manifestation of the quantum pattern. When you're aligned with the pattern, others react to you differently. The environment shifts in your favor without you having to force anything. Opportunities emerge effortlessly, circumstances change, and people respond positively, all because your internal state is in harmony with the quantum field. Understanding these phenomena is not about gaining supernatural abilities. It's about recognizing the natural flow of reality and learning to engage with it consciously. Once you recognize the quantum pattern and understand how it operates, you can align with it intentionally, ensuring that your life becomes a consistent series of successful manifestations, harmonious synchronicities, and effortless flow. The key is in understanding the pattern and engaging with it consciously. By doing so, you can reshape your reality and manifest the life you truly desire. When you're in a different internal state, you may notice that people around you begin to react negatively. Opportunities seem to close, and circumstances become difficult, almost as if the universe itself is conspiring against you. Despite your best efforts, things just don't seem to flow. And the most perplexing part of it all? There's no external change in your behavior. You may not have altered how you communicate, how you carry yourself, or even what you're doing, but everything seems to go wrong. Your mind tries to explain these experiences, often pointing to body language, subtle behavioral cues, or even mood fluctuations. However, these explanations don't fully capture what's really happening. It's not just the way you're acting that's influencing the world around you. There's something much deeper at play. This phenomenon is rooted in quantum entanglement, a concept from quantum physics that can explain how your internal state broadcasts a specific frequency into the quantum field. Your consciousness is not just operating within the boundaries of your body, but it sends a vibration that affects everything in its proximity, even across distances. Other people, even strangers, are responding to this frequency before you even engage them physically. This means that your internal state is directly influencing the way people perceive and react to you. This isn't magic. It's quantum entanglement at work, where the state of your consciousness broadcasts a signal that others are able to pick up, whether they're close by or far away. Now, once you consciously engage the quantum pattern by understanding and intentionally controlling your internal state, you're not just influencing your personal reality, you're affecting the quantum field itself, which in turn affects all the consciousnesses entangled within it. This means that every individual you encounter, every situation you find yourself in, is a direct response to the frequency you're emitting. In other words, once you learn to consciously control your internal state, you are no longer merely a passive observer of life, but a proactive creator of your experiences. The sixth phenomenon I want to share with you is related to physical reality's response to your focus and attention. Have you ever experienced focusing on a certain topic or idea, and suddenly that topic begins to appear everywhere? Conversations around you touch on it, articles pop up, and random encounters seem to echo your thoughts. It's as if the universe is somehow aligning itself with your focus. Or perhaps you've had a specific question in mind, and answers appear through synchronistic channels before you even search for them. You might need a particular resource, and it manifests through seemingly impossible coincidences. This is not confirmation bias or selective attention. What you're experiencing is an actual reorganization of the quantum field in response to your consciousness focus. This is where attention becomes the first component of the quantum pattern. When you focus your attention on a particular subject, the quantum field organizes itself around that focus point, aligning probabilities and drawing the right opportunities, people, and resources into your life. However, most people direct their attention unconsciously and chaotically, creating a confused and disorganized response from the field. When you learn to consciously direct your attention according to the quantum pattern, the field responds coherently and precisely. What you once experienced randomly is now something you can create intentionally. By understanding how to engage the field consciously, you can begin to notice that your experiences are no longer left to chance. Instead, they are guided by your focused, intentional attention. The seventh phenomenon relates to a dramatic difference in results based on subtle differences in how you approach situations. Have you ever noticed how two similar actions can lead to completely different outcomes? For example, two job interviews with similar preparation can produce opposite results, Or two conversations with the same person can lead to entirely different levels of connection. You might try the same task multiple times, and one attempt flows perfectly, while the other is filled with obstacles and resistance, despite no external difference explaining the variation. The difference lies in how you engage the quantum pattern. Although the actions might appear similar, the internal state you engage with during those actions, your attention, frequency, and intention, plays a major role in determining the outcome. In fact, the quantum pattern you engage while taking action determines the results you manifest. When the components of the quantum pattern align, the outcome is favorable. When they are misaligned, interference occurs, and the manifestation is distorted or blocked entirely. This is where understanding the quantum pattern becomes crucial. Every challenge you've faced, every cycle you've repeated, every time your intention didn't manifest despite your efforts, none of it is random. It's not evidence that manifestation doesn't work or that you've been doing something wrong. It's simply the result of engaging the quantum pattern unconsciously, either in the correct or incorrect way. The outcomes you experienced were perfectly aligned with the unconscious input you provided through the quantum pattern. Recognizing this pattern is a life-changing realization because it allows you to understand the mechanics of how your reality is created. The repeated cycles of success and failure you've experienced were not failures or punishment. They were simply feedback from the universe, showing you what works and what doesn't. These cycles were preparing you to see that there's a pattern here, a pattern where the same input creates the same output. Once you understand how to change the input, the output will transform as well. Every moment you've experienced in your life, whether it was success or struggle, has been a part of your education in recognizing how the quantum pattern operates. The experiences where things flowed effortlessly taught you how to engage the quantum pattern correctly. The moments of struggle, on the other hand, taught you what misalignment feels like. They showed you how the internal state you bring to a situation can either help or hinder the manifestation of your desires. Think back to a time when you really wanted something to manifest but couldn't make it happen, no matter how hard you tried. Can you now see that there was a disconnect between your attention and your emotional frequency? Perhaps you were focusing on your desire, but deep down, you were holding feelings of lack or doubt. Maybe you desired success, but your actions weren't fully aligned with that desire, or you sabotaged yourself out of fear. These weren't flaws in your character, nor were they signs that you weren't worthy or ready for what you wanted. They were signs of misalignment in the quantum pattern. Your attention, frequency, and action were not aligned in the same direction, and this misalignment created interference that blocked the manifestation. Once you recognize what causes this interference, you can consciously align all three components, ensuring that your desires manifest with consistency. The confusion and uncertainty you've felt about why some things work and others don't is also part of the process. The inconsistency of results has been necessary preparation for you to recognize that there's a deeper pattern at work. If you had always succeeded or always failed, you wouldn't have been motivated to uncover the underlying mechanism behind manifestation. The key is that in your moments of confusion, you were being shown that there's a pattern you've been missing, a pattern that you can now consciously engage with to produce reliable, consistent results. Every success you've had, every failure you've experienced, every cycle that repeated itself, was all part of your education in quantum mechanics. Each experience has taught you something valuable about how to engage with the quantum pattern. When you succeed, it's because you've aligned your attention, frequency, and action in a way that resonates with the quantum field. When you fail, it's because one or more of these components has been misaligned. But now that you understand the pattern, you can consciously correct it, ensuring that your results are no longer left to chance. It's important to understand that the intentions you had that didn't manifest weren't wrong, nor was the universe withholding from you. They were simply misaligned intentions, where the three components of the quantum pattern didn't align properly. You needed to experience the misalignment firsthand to understand what causes interference and what creates coherence. Now, let's think about a specific intention that you've been working toward but hasn't manifested yet. Perhaps you've put in a lot of effort, visualized your desires, and yet it's still not showing up. If you take a moment to reflect, you might notice that while you were focusing on your desired outcome, There was a subconscious frequency of doubt or fear running in the background. Maybe you were focusing on the goal, but your internal belief system was broadcasting a frequency of lack or unworthiness. Or perhaps you were taking action toward your goal, but unconsciously sabotaging it by doubting its success. These aren't psychological flaws or signs of failure. They are simply indicators of misalignment in the quantum pattern. The key is understanding that when your attention, frequency, and action align, manifestation is not just possible, it is inevitable. In the past, when things didn't align perfectly, you may have felt isolated or disconnected from the flow of life. There may have been times when you couldn't connect with others, or when your goals felt out of reach. This wasn't spiritual failure or abandonment. It was a sign that you were out of alignment with the quantum pattern, like being off frequency on a radio. When you're not in alignment, your life feels disconnected and static. But when you align with the pattern, everything flows effortlessly. You've likely experienced moments of perfect flow, when everything just worked. In these moments, synchronicities cascaded, and you felt completely in tune with reality. These moments were a direct reflection of you engaging with the quantum pattern in the correct way. You felt it, but you couldn't fully explain it. Now, as you understand the pattern, you'll be able to recreate that state consciously. In the journey of life, many people strive to manifest their desires, seeking success, abundance, health, and happiness. However, it often feels as if the process is unreliable, with some desires materializing effortlessly while others seem to remain elusive despite focused effort. This inconsistency is puzzling and can be frustrating, especially when you can't seem to identify what separates the successful manifestations from the ones that never materialize. However, over time, through my own deep exploration, I uncovered the underlying quantum principles that govern manifestation, offering an insight that changes everything about how we understand creation, reality, and our role in the process. Through personal experience and scientific exploration, I discovered a set of principles that operate at the quantum level, principles that offer clarity and reliability when it comes to manifestation. These principles are not abstract theories or hopeful philosophies. They are mechanical processes, as concrete as the laws of physics, operating in the realm where consciousness and matter interact. By understanding these principles and applying them consistently, you can create the life you want, not by random chance, but by aligning with these natural laws of quantum manifestation. The first insight that transformed my understanding came when I realized the power of emotional and energetic states in shaping our reality. Everything in the universe, including us, is made up of energy. The emotions we feel and the energetic frequencies we broadcast have a profound impact on the quantum field. The quantum field responds to these frequencies and reorganizes itself to match them. The energy you emit doesn't just float around passively, it actively shapes the environment around you. When you hold the frequency of having already achieved your desired outcome, feeling grateful, satisfied, complete as if the desired result is already here, the quantum field responds by manifesting circumstances that match this energetic signature. If you maintain the feeling of having your goal already accomplished, the field will bring you the conditions that align with that feeling. On the other hand, if you hold the frequency of lack, feeling desperate, incomplete, or dissatisfied, the field will likewise manifest circumstances that match this frequency. The crucial point here is that the quantum field doesn't respond to your thoughts alone, but to the energy you are emitting, which in turn shapes your experiences. The second key component that became clear through this journey was the importance of action. While focusing your attention and maintaining the right emotional frequency are essential, action plays a critical role in creating momentum and commitment within the quantum field. The actions you take in the physical world are not merely practical steps. They are movements that affect the quantum field, creating momentum toward your desired outcome. When you take action that aligns with your desired result, actions that assume success and move toward manifesting that success, you create quantum momentum. The field responds to this movement by bringing opportunities, people, and resources that align with your committed action. Conversely, when you take action from a place of fear or doubt, actions that hedge against failure or prepare for disappointment, you create quantum resistance. The field will respond by keeping failure as a viable option, perpetuating a cycle of resistance that prevents your manifestation from moving forward, even if your thoughts and emotions are in alignment. This is where many manifestation teachings fall short. They often focus solely on mental focus and emotional alignment, neglecting the importance of taking inspired action. Taking action that assumes success, rather than preparing for failure, is the key to creating forward momentum in the quantum field. The third and most profound insight I uncovered was the realization that all three components, attention, frequency, and action, must align simultaneously and point in the same direction in order to create consistent and reliable manifestation. If any of these components is misaligned, the manifestation process becomes blocked, distorted, or inconsistent. When attention is focused on the desired outcome, but the emotional frequency does not align with that outcome, for example, when you focus on success but feel unworthy, the result is mental focus without energetic support. This creates a contradiction, as your mind is focused on what you want, but your energy is broadcasting the opposite message, confusing the quantum field. Similarly, when emotional frequency is aligned but no action is taken, you may feel good about your desired outcome but fail to take any concrete steps toward it. The field responds to energy and action, so inaction, even when emotional alignment is strong, creates stagnation. Finally, when you take action that contradicts your intentions, such as preparing for failure or hedging against disappointment, you create quantum resistance, preventing the manifestation from unfolding as intended. The key to successful manifestation lies in the harmonious alignment of all three components. Attention must be focused and unwavering on the desired outcome. Emotional frequency must resonate with the belief that the outcome already exists, and action must be taken with the assumption of success, not failure. Only when these three elements are aligned will the quantum field respond with coherent manifestation. About 8 months after discovering these principles, I was faced with a significant challenge. I needed to relocate to a different city for a career opportunity, but I had no money for moving expenses, no connections in the new city, and no logical path forward. The conventional approach would have been to save money gradually, research locations, and plan the move meticulously before taking any action. But having understood the quantum pattern, I knew that I could manifest the desired outcome by aligning my attention, frequency, and actions, regardless of my current circumstances. For 2 weeks, I applied the quantum pattern intentionally. My attention was clearly focused on living in the new city, visualizing my daily life there as though it was already my present reality. I didn't treat it as a future possibility. I treated it as if it had already happened. My emotional frequency matched this new reality. I felt grateful, excited, and complete, as though the transition had already occurred. The frequency I broadcast was one of satisfaction and completion. With my attention and emotional frequency aligned, I began taking action that assumed success. I gave notice on my current apartment, purchased a plane ticket before having the funds to cover the moving expenses, and reached out to people in the new city to plan meetups after I arrived. I took actions as if everything was already secured, as if success was a certainty. The results were nothing short of miraculous. In just 2 weeks, an unexpected freelance project materialized that provided exactly the amount of money I needed for the move. A friend I hadn't spoken to in 3 years contacted me, revealing that they lived in the same city and could help me find housing. And, on the day I was supposed to leave, I woke up with a clear knowing of exactly which neighborhood I should move to, despite never having visited the city. Everything aligned perfectly, and the manifestation unfolded swiftly through synchronicity and quantum momentum. This experience confirmed for me that the quantum pattern wasn't just a theory or an abstract idea. It was a mechanical process as reliable as the laws of physics. The three components, attention, frequency, and action, aligned perfectly, creating a coherent signal to the quantum field, which responded by manifesting the desired outcome. This process worked because all three components pointed in the same direction, aligning with the desired result. Since that moment, I have used the quantum pattern intentionally for everything in my life, from small daily manifestations to major life transformations. I've taught it to hundreds of people who were struggling with the same inconsistencies I once faced. Many people experience success in manifestation at times, but struggle to repeat it consistently. What they don't understand is that manifestation requires a coherent alignment of all three components. When the components align, manifestation is consistent and reliable. When they misalign, interference occurs, preventing the desired result from materializing. The key insight is this: manifestation isn't random or a matter of chance. It is a consistent and reliable process governed by the quantum pattern. The only variable is whether or not you engage the pattern correctly. When you align your attention, frequency, and actions with your desired outcome, manifestation occurs without fail. But when you misalign any of these components, interference arises, and manifestation becomes blocked. The quantum pattern has three key components that must align simultaneously: attention, frequency, and action. The first component, quantum observation, involves directing your focused consciousness toward a desired outcome. The second component, quantum resonance, involves aligning your emotional frequency with the desired outcome. And the third component, quantum commitment, involves taking action that assumes success and creates momentum in the quantum field. Attention must be focused on the outcome as though it already exists, not as a future possibility. Your emotional frequency must align with the feeling of already having the desired outcome, broadcasting a frequency of satisfaction and completion. And your actions must demonstrate commitment to the desired result, moving toward it as if success is guaranteed. Once all three components align, manifestation becomes a natural consequence. The quantum field responds to the coherent signal you've sent out, reorganizing itself to match the frequency of your intention. This is how reality is created, not through wishful thinking or random chance, but through the precise alignment of thought, emotion, and action with the quantum field. In the past 12 years, since I first discovered the quantum pattern, I've used it consistently to manifest everything I've wanted, from small everyday desires to life-changing transformations. The quantum pattern is not a belief system or a hopeful philosophy. It's a reliable and predictable process that works every time when the components are aligned. The only variable is how consistently and intentionally you engage the pattern. Now that you understand how the quantum pattern works, you can apply it to every aspect of your life. By focusing your attention, aligning your frequency, and taking aligned action, you can create the life you desire. It's no longer a mystery how manifestation works. You have the tools to create with consistency, clarity, and power. And once you begin engaging this pattern consciously, your life will unfold in ways you never thought possible. The science behind manifestation is not some mystical or spiritual mystery that only a select few are privileged to access. Instead, it's based on quantum mechanics, an operating principle that exists and functions whether we believe in it or not. What you're about to discover is not a set of spiritual secrets, but a scientific understanding of how consciousness interacts with the quantum field to manifest physical realities. The key lies in the alignment of three components: attention, frequency, and action. When all three are aligned and point in the same direction, manifestation becomes a predictable and repeatable outcome. There is no hidden law that governs manifestation, nor is there any special worthiness required. Manifestation doesn't happen because you're good enough or because you've somehow earned it. It happens because you align your consciousness with quantum laws that govern reality. Simply put, when you engage with the quantum pattern correctly, manifestation occurs automatically, as naturally as the laws of physics themselves. This is quantum mechanics operating through consciousness. The reason some people manifest their desires effortlessly and consistently while others struggle is simple. People who manifest consistently, unknowingly, align all three components of the quantum pattern: attention, frequency, and action, whether consciously or not. On the other hand, those who manifest inconsistently align these components randomly, sometimes effectively, and sometimes in contradictory ways. Understanding this pattern means you can consciously align all three components every single time, turning random, sporadic successes into consistent, deliberate results. The quantum pattern isn't a philosophical or metaphysical concept. It's a scientific principle that's been proven by quantum mechanics. Experiments such as the famous double-slit experiment have demonstrated how particles behave in superposition until they are observed, collapsing into a specific state when observed. The field of possibilities collapses into probabilities based on where and how attention is focused. In the same way, your focused consciousness, your attention, affects the quantum field and collapses the infinite possibilities into the specific reality you observe. The first critical signal of your understanding of the quantum pattern is the recognition of past moments when everything seemed to fall into place effortlessly. These were the times when all three components, attention, frequency, and action, accidentally aligned, and manifestation happened naturally. You didn't consciously know it at the time, but now that you understand the pattern, you can see that during those moments you were doing something intuitively correct. Your attention was focused, your frequency aligned with the desired outcome, and your actions demonstrated commitment. And as a result, manifestation occurred rapidly through synchronistic channels. The second critical signal is the immediate recognition of recurring cycles of misalignment, where one of the components was out of alignment, creating interference and preventing manifestation from happening. Now that you have the tools to recognize the pattern consciously, you can identify specific moments when your attention, frequency, or action was not aligned with your desired outcome. Perhaps your attention was divided, your frequency was contradictory to your desire, or your actions were hedging against failure rather than assuming success. This recognition of past cycles of misalignment is a crucial step in understanding how your subconscious has been engaged with the quantum field. When you start to recognize these patterns, it becomes easy to understand why certain outcomes never manifested, despite your best efforts. These are not random failures, nor are they signs of your lack of worthiness. Rather, they are the result of quantum misalignment, one or more components of the pattern being out of sync. Now that you understand the pattern, you can see exactly where things went wrong and, more importantly, how to correct them moving forward. The third signal comes when you apply the pattern consciously to your current intentions. When you focus on something you want to manifest, you can feel immediately whether your attention is aligned with that desire or whether it is wavering between desire and doubt. You can sense whether your frequency resonates with the feeling of already having the outcome or whether it broadcasts a feeling of lack. And, most importantly, you can recognize whether your actions are committed to success or whether they are hedging against possible failure. Through the quantum pattern framework, you can instantly discern whether your intentions are aligned or contradictory. The fourth signal comes in the form of physical sensations. When all three components of attention, frequency, and action are aligned correctly, there is a specific feeling of coherence. It's a sense of certainty and rightness, a natural flow of energy that doesn't feel forced. Your body will recognize the aligned pattern before your mind even analyzes it. You can feel the alignment physically when your attention is on the desired outcome, your frequency matches that outcome, and your actions are directed toward it. This feeling of coherence is your body's confirmation that the quantum pattern is operating smoothly. The fifth signal comes through synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that start to appear as your attention, frequency, and action align. You'll notice that when your attention is clear and focused on a specific outcome, the universe starts delivering corresponding information or resources through synchronicity. When your frequency shifts, people, opportunities, and circumstances that match that frequency begin to show up in your life. Similarly, when you take committed action toward your goal, the universe will respond by aligning events and people that support that commitment. These synchronicities are not random. They are the quantum field responding to your coherent signals. The more aligned you are, the more obvious and frequent these synchronicities become. As your awareness grows, you'll begin to notice how the quantum field organizes reality around you in response to the clear signals you're sending out. The sixth signal involves other people's manifestations, successes, and failures. You'll start to notice how easily you can explain why someone manifested their desires and why someone else didn't. When someone tells you about their success, you'll see immediately that all three components were aligned. Their attention was clear, their frequency matched their desired outcome, and their actions were committed. Conversely, when someone tells you about a goal they've been working on for years but haven't manifested, you'll be able to pinpoint where they went wrong, whether it was a lack of clear attention, an emotional frequency that contradicted their desire, or actions that assumed failure. You'll begin to recognize that manifestation isn't about luck or timing, it's about the precise alignment of all three components. The seventh signal is the development of sensitivity to subtle misalignments before they create interference. As you continue to work with the quantum pattern, you will become more sensitive to when your attention begins to waver, when your frequency drops into doubt, or when your actions start to hedge against possible failure. This heightened sensitivity allows you to correct course in real time, rather than waiting until interference manifests as obstacles or delays. This sensitivity doesn't develop gradually. It's present as soon as you recognize the quantum pattern. Once you consciously understand how the pattern works, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Your past experiences will make sense when viewed through the quantum lens. Your current intentions will reveal alignment or misalignment instantly, and your future manifestations will become predictable based on how well you engage with the quantum pattern. Now that you have recognized the quantum pattern, I will show you how to apply it intentionally to create the life you desire. There is a precise protocol for engaging this pattern consciously, and it involves three key steps: intention, clarity, frequency alignment, and action commitment. The first step in engaging the quantum pattern is to establish absolute clarity about your desired outcome. This isn't about vague wishes or general preferences. It's about defining a specific, clear outcome that you can describe in sensory detail. Quantum observation requires a focused point of attention. If your intention is unclear or vague, your observation will be scattered, and the quantum field won't be able to respond coherently. To begin, write down your exact desired outcome. Describe it as if it's already your present reality, not as a future possibility. Use phrases like I am, I have, or I live in, rather than I want or I will. Shifting from observing absence to observing presence collapses the potential into reality. Once your intention is clear, direct your attention to it multiple times each day. This is quantum observation, observing your desired outcome as a present reality, not as something you hope for in the future. After establishing clear attention, the next step is to align your frequency with the desired outcome. How does it feel to already have what you want? Not how does it feel to want it, but how does it feel to have it? The emotional frequency of having your desired outcome already manifested is what you need to broadcast. Emotions like satisfaction, peace, excitement, gratitude, and freedom are the frequencies that match a completed manifestation. Practice embodying that frequency before the physical manifestation has arrived. Close your eyes and feel as if the outcome is already real, already yours. Notice what emotions arise when you immerse yourself in that completed reality. This is the frequency you need to broadcast consistently. Start generating that frequency without needing to visualize the outcome. Can you feel the satisfaction of having it, even if it hasn't physically manifested yet? This is the key to quantum resonance, feeling the frequency of already having. The third and final step is taking committed action. When your attention is clear and your frequency is aligned, it's time to take action that assumes success. These are not preparatory actions or backup plans. These are actions that only make sense if the manifestation is already certain. Quantum commitment is acting as if success is guaranteed. These actions create quantum momentum that accelerates the manifestation process. For example, if you are manifesting a move to a new city, quantum commitment would involve buying a plane ticket before having the money to cover moving costs, giving notice on your current apartment before securing housing in the new city, and contacting people in the new city to plan meetings once you arrive. These actions assume success and demonstrate your commitment to the desired outcome. To manifest your desires consistently and reliably, all three components, attention, frequency, and action, must align and point in the same direction. When your attention is focused, your frequency is aligned with the outcome, and your actions assume success, the quantum field responds by manifesting your desire. You can engage this pattern consciously, creating a life of intention, purpose, and aligned manifestation. Now that you understand the quantum mechanics of manifestation, you have the tools to consciously engage with the quantum field. By applying intention, clarity, frequency alignment, and committed action, you can create consistent and predictable results. This isn't a mystical or spiritual process, it's a scientific principle that operates through consciousness and the quantum field. With this understanding, you have the power to shape your reality and manifest the life you desire. In the process of manifesting desires or intentions, many people fall into the trap of hedging their bets. These are actions that, while seemingly cautious, often signal an underlying belief in failure. They may involve waiting until enough resources are saved, keeping a fallback option just in case things don't work out, or withholding information until one is completely certain that success is guaranteed. While such actions may appear to be logical or practical, they are in fact the opposite of the bold, assumption of success actions that are key to effective manifestation. These hedging actions, though seemingly safe, can actually reinforce doubt, prevent commitment, and ultimately block the flow of manifestation. The key difference lies in the energetic frequency of the actions taken. Actions that hedge against failure broadcast uncertainty into the quantum field, signaling that you are not fully committed to the outcome. These cautious steps create an environment where the potential for failure is just as likely as success. In contrast, bold actions, which assume success and fully embrace it, send out a strong signal of certainty. They create a quantum commitment to the desired outcome, a commitment that the universe responds to with synchronicity, alignment, and manifestation. The universe operates on frequency and commitment, not on words or intentions alone. The field does not respond to what you say you want or what you merely hope for. It responds to the energy and the level of commitment you demonstrate through your actions. This principle is foundational to manifesting your desires. The quantum field responds to coherent energy patterns, those in which your attention, frequency, and actions are aligned in a consistent and powerful way. To fully engage the process of manifestation, it's essential to align these three components: attention, frequency, and action. Each of these must be in coherence for manifestation to occur smoothly. The first step in this process is to focus your attention. Is your attention truly on having the desired outcome as a present reality, or does it waver between wanting it and doubting that it will happen? If your focus is inconsistent, it indicates a misalignment, and you must return to the initial step, refining your focus until it is clear and unwavering. Once your attention is firmly set on the desired outcome, the next step is to examine your emotional frequency. Your frequency should be one of satisfaction, joy, and gratitude, as if you already possess the desired outcome. Any frequency of anxiety, doubt, or desperation sends out a conflicting signal that undermines your manifestation. If you notice your emotional state slipping into doubt or anxiety, return to the second step and consciously adjust your emotional frequency to one of having rather than needing. The third component is action. Are your actions aligned with a sense of certainty, assuming success, or are they hedging against failure? If your actions are preparing for failure, it indicates a lack of commitment and a mismatch with the outcome you desire. Bold actions that commit to success without planning for failure strengthen the manifestation process. If you catch yourself taking cautionary steps or preparing backup plans, return to the third step and take more committed, confident actions that assume the manifestation is already guaranteed. Once these three components, attention, frequency, and action, are aligned, you will experience a sense of coherence and flow. This coherence is a powerful signal that the quantum field is responding to your intentions. It feels like an effortless flow, a sense that everything is falling into place naturally and that the manifestation is inevitable. Conversely, when there is misalignment in any of the components, you will feel tension, doubt, or resistance, which signals interference in the quantum field. Step 4 involves a pattern coherence check. After you've engaged all three components, attention, frequency, and action, check for alignment. Do they all point in the same direction, or is there contradiction between them? This requires an honest self-assessment. Attention check. Is your attention genuinely focused on the desired outcome, or do you find yourself alternating between wanting and doubting? Frequency check. Is your emotional state one of satisfaction, or are you feeling anxiety, desperation, or unworthiness? Action check. Are your actions boldly committing to success, or are you taking hedging actions, preparing for failure? When these components are out of alignment, it's time to return to the earlier steps and recalibrate. Maintaining alignment is not a one-time task. It's an ongoing process of checking and realigning until the pattern is coherent. Once the components align, you'll feel a physical sense of rightness, an intuitive knowing that manifestation is on track. Step 5 is about detachment and trust. Once the pattern has been fully engaged and all components are aligned, the next step is to release attachment to the how and when of manifestation. It's important to remember that your role is to align the pattern, but the universe's role is to bring about manifestation through the most optimal pathway. Trying to control the timing or mechanism of manifestation introduces doubt and conflicting energy, which disrupts the coherence of the pattern. Instead, trust the timing and the unfolding process. Acknowledge that the pattern has been set and that the field will respond accordingly. Trust that the manifestation is already occurring, even if you can't yet see it. This detachment does not mean passive waiting or giving up. Rather, it is the act of fully trusting in the process and allowing the field to deliver the outcome. When you detach from the need to control the manifestation, you maintain the integrity of the energetic pattern you've set. Constantly checking or obsessively trying to force the outcome will only broadcast doubt and fear, which disrupts the pattern. Step 6 involves pattern maintenance throughout the manifestation process. The key to manifestation is maintaining a coherent pattern. Just as a radio signal must be continuously broadcast for the receiver to tune in, the manifestation pattern must be maintained consistently. This requires regular check-ins to ensure that attention, frequency, and action are still aligned. Daily verification of alignment is essential to ensure the pattern remains clear and strong. If you notice any misalignment, correct it immediately and return to the coherent pattern without judgment or discouragement. As you maintain the pattern consistently, the field begins to respond more clearly. This pattern of coherent focus accelerates the collapse of possibilities into manifestation. The more consistently you maintain the alignment, the faster the manifestation process will unfold. The key is in the consistent engagement with the pattern. When the signal is clear and unwavering, the field responds quickly. Step 7 is the recognition of results. As the pattern remains coherent and aligned, manifestations begin to unfold through synchronistic channels. The process is not about force or effort. It is about recognizing the signs and flow of manifestation as the field responds to your clear, aligned signal. Unexpected events, people and circumstances will begin to show up in your life, facilitating the manifestation. When these synchronicities occur, it's important to acknowledge them as confirmation that the pattern is working. At times, challenges or obstacles may arise. It's crucial not to view these as signs that manifestation is blocked. Often, what seems like an obstacle is simply the field reorganizing to create a better pathway for manifestation. By checking the pattern alignment when obstacles appear, you can discern whether the issue is one of misalignment or simply a necessary reorganization. When the quantum pattern is aligned, manifestation happens with remarkable precision and reliability. The benefits of this alignment are numerous. Reduced manifestation time frames. When the pattern is aligned, the field responds rapidly, collapsing the manifestation into reality much more quickly. What once took months may now take weeks or even days. Consistency in results. With the pattern aligned, every intention either manifests or doesn't manifest for an identifiable reason. The success or failure is not random, but a direct result of the coherence of the pattern. Decreased effort, increased results. With alignment, the manifestation process becomes effortless. You're no longer forcing things to happen, you're allowing the process to unfold naturally. Reliability of synchronicities. As the pattern becomes more coherent, synchronicities become a dependable navigation system. Events and people appear exactly when needed. Obstacles as feedback. Instead of obstacles being discouraging, they become useful indicators. They help you identify where the pattern may need adjustment or where the field is reorganizing for a better outcome. Increased confidence. As you see the pattern working consistently, doubt about manifestation dissolves. Confidence emerges because you now understand the mechanism behind it. Freedom from limiting beliefs. As you recognize that manifestation isn't about worthiness or special gifts, but rather pattern alignment, you break free from any limitations that once held you back. The final recognition is profound. The quantum pattern isn't something external that you use to get things from the universe. It's the mechanism through which consciousness creates reality. The process of manifestation is not about manipulating an external field, but about recognizing your own consciousness as the creator of your experience. This understanding transforms how you see yourself, your reality, and your creative power. Through the alignment of attention, frequency, and action, you are not just trying to manifest specific outcomes. You are recognizing your own consciousness as the creator of your reality. The quantum pattern is the intrinsic way that consciousness forms experience. It's always been operating, but now you are consciously engaging it. This realization shifts your understanding from being a small individual trying to make things happen to recognizing that you are the creative source of your experience, working through the eternal pattern of attention, frequency, and action. What you've been searching for externally is, in reality, a reflection of what you are already creating within yourself. The quantum pattern of reality is the very mechanism through which you bring experiences into being. It is an ancient truth, not a new discovery. Mystics, sages, and ancient traditions have always understood and worked with this concept, even though modern science, specifically quantum physics, has only recently begun to prove its existence in a way that can be measured and studied. The quantum pattern is not something outside of you. It is the core essence of how consciousness shapes and creates reality. It's been operating all along. You've always been using it, perhaps unknowingly, but now you have the opportunity to become conscious of this powerful mechanism. This shift from unconscious creation to conscious creation is a transformation that has the potential to alter not only your life, but also contribute to the evolution of collective human consciousness. As more people become aware of the quantum pattern, there's a growing wave of recognition that is happening around the world. People are awakening to the fact that they too have the ability to create their reality by aligning their thoughts, emotions, and actions. This isn't a unique experience, it's a collective phenomenon. Thousands of people around the world are discovering the same threefold mechanism that you are learning about through different teachers, practices, and experiences. Whether through meditation, energy work, or inspired action teachings, people are recognizing that attention, frequency, and action form the core of the quantum pattern. The truth is that this quantum pattern is universal. It is the way in which all consciousness interacts with reality at the quantum level. Every single being that has ever existed, or will exist, creates their reality through this pattern. What makes this moment so unique is that you are now consciously aware of it, and this awareness is powerful. This recognition doesn't just have personal significance, it is part of a larger shift happening on the planet. As more individuals become conscious of the pattern, it begins to ripple through the collective consciousness, making it easier for others to access and recognize the same mechanism. This is where the concept of morphic resonance comes into play. Dr. Rupert Sheldrake's research has shown that when enough individuals engage with a new pattern or way of being, that pattern becomes accessible to the entire species. Your conscious engagement with the quantum pattern is helping to strengthen this morphic field, making it easier for others to awaken to it as well. This shift in collective consciousness is not a random event or a passing trend. It is a profound evolution that has been building for decades, and we are now reaching a critical mass where enough individuals are recognizing the quantum creation pattern. As this collective awakening grows, it will move from being a rare ability accessible to a few to becoming a common skill, and eventually it will be part of the baseline of humanity's understanding of reality. Ancient prophecies have predicted this moment, humanity's awakening to its creative power and the recognition of divinity within. Understanding the unity of consciousness with reality is a key component of this transition, and the quantum pattern is the mechanism through which this awakening occurs. Your role in this process is not to convince or teach everyone around you about the quantum pattern. Most people are not ready for this level of conscious recognition. Many are still accumulating unconscious experiences with the pattern, and for them, The conscious understanding of it may not yet be accessible. Instead, your role is to embody the quantum pattern in your own life. As you consciously engage with the pattern, you create a demonstration through your life that conscious creation is real, reliable, and accessible. Every time you align your attention, frequency, and action and manifest your desires, you strengthen the morphic field and make it easier for others to recognize the pattern themselves. You don't need to force this understanding onto others. Those who are ready will recognize the pattern when they encounter it. These are the individuals who have already experienced the pattern unconsciously and are now seeking a conscious framework to understand their experiences. When they come across the threefold mechanism of attention, frequency, and action, they will immediately resonate with it. They will recognize, yes, this is what I've been doing, and from that point on, they can begin to create intentionally. However, not everyone will be ready at the same time. For some, the concept of the quantum pattern may seem far-fetched or too abstract. But don't worry, these individuals will eventually access it through morphic resonance as their consciousness reaches the frequency where recognition becomes available. This process is gradual, but it is happening on a global scale. We are now in a time where the recognition of the quantum pattern is becoming more widespread, and in the future, what we currently understand as advanced manifestation teachings will become the basic foundation of how we understand reality. Just as children are taught about the physical laws of nature like gravity, in the future, they will be taught about the quantum pattern of creation. It will become an accepted truth about how consciousness and reality interact. This shift is already underway, and you are part of the early wave that is making this future inevitable through your own conscious engagement with the pattern. But there is one essential piece that will ensure the quantum pattern becomes your permanent operating system rather than just a temporary understanding that fades when you are challenged by habitual patterns or the limitations of consensus reality. This essential piece is your quantum commitment made through a declaration. By making a declaration to consciously engage the quantum pattern with aligned attention, frequency, and action, you are locking in your recognition of the pattern at a deep level. This declaration serves as a quantum commitment, signaling to yourself, to the field, and to the morphic resonance network that you are ready to operate from this place of conscious creation. Writing or stating this declaration is not just symbolic, it has real energetic power. It helps stabilize the alignment of the pattern, ensuring that it becomes a stable force in your life rather than something that fluctuates or fades in times of doubt. This declaration is the first step in making conscious creation your default state. It is the beginning of a new chapter in your life, where manifestation becomes predictable, reliable, and effortless. Once you make this commitment, you will begin to notice shifts in your life. You will feel more certain, more aligned, and more in tune with the flow of creation. The more you engage with the pattern consciously, the more natural it will become. It will no longer feel like something you need to work at. Instead, it will feel like an integral part of who you are, like breathing or walking. As you continue on this journey, there will be challenges and moments when you feel misaligned. In those moments, you will need the tools and techniques to quickly realign and return to coherence. In upcoming transmissions, you will learn advanced pattern mastery protocols that will allow you to stay aligned even in difficult circumstances. These protocols will help you maintain coherence when the world around you seems chaotic, or when you are surrounded by people who are not yet consciously engaged with the pattern. You will learn how to quickly identify misalignments and how to reset your pattern alignment in as little as 30 seconds. The key takeaway is that once you recognize the quantum pattern and commit to conscious engagement, everything begins to shift. You are not merely learning a new technique to manifest things, you are awakening to the true nature of your consciousness and its role in creating reality. This is a transformative process that not only affects your personal life but also contributes to the evolution of collective consciousness. By consciously engaging the quantum pattern, you are playing an essential role in the awakening of humanity to its creative power. As you move forward, trust that every time you align your attention, frequency, and action, you are not just manifesting your desires, you are participating in the evolution of human consciousness itself. Every time you correct a misalignment, every time you stay true to the pattern in the face of external challenges, you are strengthening the morphic field and making it easier for others to access and engage the pattern. So, what will you create through conscious pattern engagement? The quantum pattern awaits your alignment, and through your engagement, you're not just shaping your own reality, but contributing to the creation of a new reality for all of humanity. Welcome to the world of conscious creation. Welcome to the future of human consciousness.